if I casually tapped into everyone I pass on the streets, which was definitely a good thing. I will confess that if I had a particularly demanding day at the store, occasionally I connected by accident. It's as if I'd forgotten to turn myself off and zeroed in on anyone experiencing a strong emotion. Generally, it wasn't a problem, unless it happened with people who were close to me, which is why I was mostly a loner. And my one attempt to have an intimate relationship taught me that a boyfriend was out of the question. Gil Osborne, the man I'd tried dating, just hated it when I tuned into him. He claimed it was weird, although I don't know why he cared, because he always denied that I'd read his feelings correctly anyway. He was an attorney with a prestigious Chicago law firm, and considering I have a couple of college degrees I'm not using, at first I found his ambition and drive a turn-on. His OCD tendencies simply added to his initial appeal. Anyway, that's what I told myself, so I didn't have to admit the idea of his ginormous salary and massive future earning potential weren't the real reasons I was going out with him. Don't judge. Just because I mentally made fun of my customers didn't mean that I didn't want to be them, or at least have their money. Prada suits, Ferragamo shoes, and Gucci purses don't grow on trees, at least not the elms lining Michigan Avenue. And Chicago is an expensive city to call home. Still, my conscience nagged me until I ended up admitting to myself that Gil was not my knight in custom-tailored Armani, and it was time to stop seeing him. To my surprise, he didn't take the breakup at all well. Who knew he was that into me? He sure never showed it. If I had any idea he'd be so upset, I'd have handled the situation differently. Say, a message in a bottle thrown into the ocean from a beach in Hawaii. However, it had been a month since his last pleading, cajoling, somewhat creepy text, and I thought he was a problem I could mark solved. Not that there weren't plenty of others waiting to take his place. Problems, that is, not boyfriends. In fact, if the look on the face of the woman who had just marched into the shop's door was any indication, I was about to add a new problem to my list before I even had my first coffee break. Although Ms. Ticked Off wasn't one of my regulars, she looked somewhat familiar, but the motes of anger floating around her like fluff from a cheap feather boa made it hard to come up with a name. Thankful that I was already serving someone, I quickly averted my gaze and focused on my current client. He was trying to pick out a birthday present for his wife, or niece, or secretary. I wasn't entirely clear who the gift's recipient was since his story kept changing, and truthfully, I really didn't give a hoot. As long as it had a 4-figure price tag, he could give it to his pet monkey for all I cared. As I held up various Hermes scarves, Vuitton belts, and Alexander Wang handbags for Mr. Evasive's inspection, I could feel Ms. Ticked Off's glare burning a hole between my shoulder blades. And when, out of the corner of my eye, I saw her wave away the 3 other consultants who approached her, I knew I was in trouble. I wasn't at all surprised that as soon as I had rung up my customer's purchases and walked him to the door, Ms. T.O. stomped towards me. She was still moving forward when she thrust a silver and black garment bag at my chest. She had the handle of the hanger aimed at my heart, and, to save my brand-new silk Robert Cavalli blouse from being torn, I snatched the bag out of her hands and hung it on a rack near the closest register. Once she was disarmed, I said, "May I help you, madam?" I thought the madam was a bit much, but my employer, Crystal Van Dyne, insisted, and you never knew if she was watching you on one of the spy cams she had hidden around the store. "Yes, you can take this back and give me a refund." I peeled the plastic off of a tomato-red Valentino evening gown. As I examined it, I watched its owner fidget smoothing the sides of her ash-blonde chignon, tugging at the skirt of her Chanel suit, and toying with her Harry Winston pink diamond ring. Why was Ms. Ticked Off suddenly so nervous? Crystal's closet had a liberal return policy. The only stipulation was that the customer had not removed the security tickets attached to the garments, which was to ensure they weren't worn before being returned. Duh! That was it. She was trying to scam us. She had worn the dress and either taken off the tag or it had come off when she...